Well, hey guys, today I'm talking about our team values again. So, if you remember team, T, together in the Great Commission, E, effectiveness, A, always pray, and M, maturity. And today I want to talk about effectiveness. So, when I think about effectiveness in terms of our value, firstly, I think of being effective in evangelism. So, we want to reflect well on how we're doing evangelism. Are we connecting well with people? Every time we have a outreach campaign, we want to be thinking to ourselves, have we been effective in this? Like Crew internationally has a core value of wanting to be an agile and effective organization and able to change when it needs to change and things like that. And so, there's very much kind of what we're thinking about here, that we need to change with the times if we need to be able to connect better with students. It's interesting, Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22, he says, I've become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. And you think about student culture, and it's changing just very quickly. It's almost like every 3, 4, 5 years now, there's a new generation that's emerging, and there's some new thinking that we need to do in terms of how to reach that generation. So, actually effectiveness is thinking through how do we best reach a student, in the area of evangelism. That's one of the things that I think about. Secondly, in terms of the individual, not just the whole culture, we desire to do whatever it takes to reach a lost person. So, when we're actually meeting one-on-one with a person who's doing explore or follow-up, what does it take to really get in that person's life and to really be a fixture for them and to effectively reach them? Well, I think it takes more than just meeting them once a week. I think, we want to be taking these guys to the movies. We want to be engaging with them socially beyond normal ministry activities and things like that. I think as well, it's engaging them in the community, the Christian community, beyond just your one-on-one, so coming along to, the likes of our autumn retreats and conferences, we want to get them there. And sometimes that's a bit harder, but in order to do that, if you can kind of get them as a part of your life more and more, that's what it takes to reach people, bringing them along to church on a Sunday with you and things like that, just going the extra mile. And Jesus, I think he showed this, the first thing that he did when he called Matthew was he showed up at Matthew's place where there was a big party. So he went to Matthew's context, he didn't just stay in the marketplace where we met Matthew, but he went back to his home. And you see the same thing happening with Peter as well. Jesus goes back to Peter's place and heals his mother-in-law and things like that. And so Jesus actually gets involved in the world that his disciples live in as well. And he doesn't just keep it at the level of where he met them at the marketplace or the lake and things like that, but he comes to visit them. So I think this is very important, we do whatever it takes to reach a lost person, which often means that we go the extra mile for them. Thirdly, in terms of effectiveness, our teams value evaluation, reflection, and celebration. So I don't think there's a wasted moment when we sit down as a staff team and evaluate how an event went, because that's going to give us vital information going forward as to how we can do it better. So not just our outreach campaigns and overall are we reaching a student better, but even on our teams, it's how do we do it, this particular thing? Is this thing hitting the mark anymore? Is this, how did we do in this area? It informs us as we move forward so we can keep being more and more effective. I think as well, though, that leads us to really, kind of value stats in a way that, we all know stats can be that thing that you really just wish you didn't have to do, but stats inform our conversations going forward on how we're doing. And as a team, you can sit down and you can see, it's there in black and white. If you've actually done your stats right, how many gospels you've shared over a semester or whatever, and you can ask the questions, what do we need to do to change this or that in light of these stats? So I think that leads us, effectiveness leads us to value statistics, but valuing them not just for the reason of improvement and effectiveness in the way that how can we get better, but also in the area of celebration. It's so easy as a human to go, what's the problem and how do I need to fix it? And once you fix the problem, you move on to the next problem and you want to fix that too. I think we need to marinate in our successes. And the statistics tell us a heck of a lot of good stuff that's been happening over the last term, the last semester, the last year. And, we need to stop ourselves for a second and go, you know what, guys, let's just marinate in what just happened. Look how many people we shared with us on this outreach campaign. Let's just enjoy that. Let's live in that light, of, man, God is at work here and he's done something special. And those stats, they actually help us to do that. So in terms of, evaluation, reflection, and celebration, that's another reason why I think we value effectiveness. But finally, the last part of effectiveness for me is that students just don't stay on campus with us, but they leave us afterwards. And we want to be measuring our effectiveness in terms of how are our students doing beyond campus. So that could lead us to think, well, these activities that we're doing here, is this setting people up well? Or is this just reaching university well now? Now, we might choose to do things just because it reaches uni well now as well, but we want to have that side of things as a part of our conversation of effectiveness. And that has led us to reassess our materials and our methods in the past and thinking, how can we set our students up well and better so that when they leave us, they can still reach lost people and they can still make disciples really, really effectively. So these are the things that I think of when I think of effectiveness. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll come and talk to you again soon.